All right, thanks for tuning back into the CruciFit Podcast. We're recording a little intro here because we realized last week that we forgot to introduce ourselves. So I'm Crystal.
I'm Aaron.
And this week we had our really good friend Christian come join us to talk about the sermon that day and how that relates to our lives.
So we're going to dive into the sermon that we discussed and how it emphasizes the importance of controlling our attitude and maintaining faith during difficult times, and understanding that pain and hardship can lead to personal growth. We're going to highlight the idea that hardships are not just obstacles, but invitations to deepen our relationship with God and how to grow in our character. And then we're going to kind of weave in our stories and experiences with 75 Hard to outline the embracing of discomfort and stepping outside of that comfort zone as an essential tool for personal growth and human development. And we're just reminded that God does not promise a life free of challenges, but equips us to face them. And ultimately that shapes us into the individuals that we are meant to be. So without further ado, we'll get into it.
All right. Welcome to the CruciFit Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bridge a gap between faith and high performance.
Love it.
Christian, second time here.
Round two. Here we go, baby. Thanks for having me, man. It's great.
Our recurring guest for our sermon breakdowns, which is what we're going to do today. We're going to have a look at our sermon that we had this morning, break it down, give some insight, or maybe try to link back with some of the stuff that Daniel said with some of our own experiences. So I'll let Crystal kick it off.
Yeah, let's see what I started with. So to me, a lot of what I started off with this sermon is that we can't control, the only thing we have control of is our attitude, right? So we can't control what's ahead of us, what's around us. We can only control what's within us.
Yeah, I really like that. I liked it when he told us his story about him and his kid and talking about his kid.
Yeah.
And
in the car.
the guy in the car with after his surgery.
Right.
Yeah. And he gave the whole spiel.
So what stood out for me in that part specifically was when he said to his son, okay, watch me.
Well, I think
watch how I.
Right. I think the context, which is someone that's watching that wasn't at the sermon, he was speaking about how in the midst of something going wrong that would seemingly derail your entire life, and then you kind of can get lost in the why me's and the woe is me kind of part, then there's other ways through. And that's where he spoke about how he talked to his son, which is what you're alluding to now.
So instead of sitting in the, why is this happening? Why would God do this to me? Really being an example for his son and the people in his family and the community and in his life. But not only that, so there's the one aspect of being an example of, it's not our job to know why. It's our job to trust and love God. And then he went in to talk about, so he had this injury that derailed his missions trip that his son was so excited for. And they were planning to be gone all of August.
Yep. They've been planning it for
a long time. So excited. Be gone all of August. This is what we're doing. Then he went into that August at the church was the biggest month they've ever had at the church.
Exactly.
That's because I started around that.
So
that's because all three of us started showing up to church at that point.
We were before that.
Yeah.
But we really got it together probably after we went to Kansas. Yeah, so I just thought that was really cool that one of the first things I wrote down is faith is great when times are good, but vital when times are dark.
Completely. Which we've spoken about this a lot. The three of us don't necessarily fall into this. It sounds like a lot of the people at church, because this is a message that's preached a lot, particularly at our church, and I guess all over. But they often preach that a lot of people are with God through the good, and then when it gets bad, they kind of abandon him.
And they question it. That's not loving.
But we don't. The three of us don't experience that. If anything, it'd be the other way around. And so that doesn't necessarily hit, but it surely must for a lot of people because they keep talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wonder if that's something in our future, or maybe that's just not our burden to carry. I'm not sure.
No, I thought about it a lot afterwards on my second walk and the way I saw it was where he said, look at me, and I thought about it as everyone who you care about or your family in general looking at you when you're going through hard times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's bigger than you are in that aspect. So when things are going south and you're able to kind of get a hold of life and play that role, you're almost a security for most people. You know what I mean? They'll look up to you and they can see that, and then ultimately that may change their life completely. You know what I mean? And who knows how many lives he could have changed in just that month of August when he was unable to travel, but he was able to spend his time and give his max effort at church for a full month, which he said was one of the greatest months so far of his year.
Yeah.
That year. So,
Yeah, of the whole year.
So like if you think about it, it's just what you're saying. Yeah, it went south for him, but instead of just kind of sitting there in his pity, he figured it out, and who knows how many lives he could have changed in that 1 month.
And that kind of goes to something we talk about a lot too, is that there are so many people who question the existence of God based on, if God were real, why would X, Y, or Z happen?
Exactly.
That's like such a common, how would you say it? Like such a common reason to deny the existence of God. But so much of that sermon was about, like, it is not our job, A, to know the why, B, to know the future. Like, our job is to stay faithful in who we are meant to be in the moment. But it's not, what I wrote down is, it's not my role to determine the outcome.
Yeah.
So, like, why a little kid might get ill with cancer and die, someone might say, well, how would a loving God do that? And we've talked a lot about this, like maybe because that was his role on this life. And then that little kid's best friend grows up to essentially develop a cure for that cancer and cure millions and millions and millions of people. That doesn't take away the grief or the sadness for that little kid's family. But it's just not, we can't know the why for a lot of things.
No.
I mean, sometimes we get to know the why.
Yeah.
Eventually, and that's amazing. But
Daniel actually said at one point, he said faith doesn't require a why. I wrote that one down. This is one of my biggest gripes in and out of religion. Not understanding the bigger picture is not reason then to just absolutely abandon all faith. And I think that, to what you're saying, people can't understand in the current circumstance, while something is happening, they can't, in their imagination, understand how that will go on to become something very important and maybe paradigm shifting. And so without that knowledge, they just kind of shut down and then just think there can't be God because he wouldn't put me through this. But there's just no, to me, that's a mute argument. It's a kind of gripe that I don't like. To try to understand the bigger picture of all this would be kind of stupid on our part.
Why do you think it's so common? That's such a common
Because
reason given. Yeah.
We want control, we want comfort.
Yes.
Right.
We don't like anything that we don't tie nicely.
Completely. The second that you have to say, I surrender my future to you, and just fully live with that acceptance, it is a very relieving thing. But to actually say it with meaning and purpose and be okay with it, it's a whole other thing, right? Then no one likes not being in control.
I mean, it just goes to, like, Aaron makes fun of me all the time for this. But I don't understand electricity, but just because I don't understand how burning coal far away makes lights on my house doesn't mean the lights don't come on in my house, right? I don't know. I don't get it, but I know it's there.
Yeah.
You don't have to understand something fully to see the results of it in your life.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He talked about Romans 8:28, which to read out. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose.
One more time, please. Sorry.
We know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So I think what Daniel was talking about is how, regardless of how bad it feels in the moment and in the circumstance, God is not purposefully doing something to make your life worse. He's building a miracle that you can't understand. It just feels in that moment like it's bad. that is the outcome will never be bad because God keeps all his promises. So the outcome is eventually going to be exactly what it needs to be. And it's going to paint a bigger picture and be more miraculous than we could ever comprehend. But if we focus on the moment, if we focus on the storm, we're going to drown, as opposed to being able to walk on the water focused on the right things.
Yep. Keep your eyes on it and then keep moving forward. And just trusting that this process is what it is.
And so one thing I wrote down is what we see as something that was meant to break us is actually what he's using to build us.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that so much this past year.
Yeah.
Like each time I thought, oh, this is it. Like this is going to break me. Luckily, I have supportive, amazing people in my life to be like, yeah, it's not. It's building you. And it's true. I liked that. But I also, to that point, and this is interesting because that verse, something he said in the sermon that I loved was basically that it doesn't matter if you believe in God or not, he is writing your story. Yeah. So what a cool thing to think about, that even as someone who denied his existence for a long time, that he was still there, like writing my story to get me to this point.
Definitely.
Right? So who knows what he's writing to get me in 10 years. I liked thinking about that. I liked thinking about that for other people too, who aren't there,
Yes.
who aren't believers, that like he's still working on writing a great story in their lives. I really liked that. That gave me a lot of comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the non-believers are kind of in that point he spoke about, that they judge God based on their circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
So like right now, this feels bad. So God is either bad or he doesn't exist, rather than being able to think. And I really liked how he said that God has been working your story since before you were created.
Mm-hmm.
But not just when you were born, he's like, I'm going to send this person now to go do this. Yeah, he started your story before you were created. And then he continues it now while we're living it, and he will complete it. So whatever that happens to be that we can't fathom or begin to understand, he will complete that at some point. And so I think that separates the believers and the followers from the non-believers. They're judging God on the circumstance at hand,
Mm-hmm.
whereas a true follower is actually understanding that God was starting my story before I was born, before I was created, before I existed. He's continuing it now while I do this, and he will complete it at some point.
That's beautiful. It also makes me think about, if the argument is God's not real because all of these horrible things happen, then like how sad to not have any meaning in those horrible things.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you think it's just horrible because it's horrible, rather than maybe this is really hard because it's building something or there's a larger context to it. Oh, that feels so sad to me.
You're right.
Like that's just
I've had it
depressing.
that way, and that is very sad. If it was just horrible and that was it,
Yeah.
like that is very sad.
Or can you believe that there's evil while simultaneously denying the existence of God, like good, which would be God? What a horrible
Yeah,
space to be in.
That is a real bad space to be in. I fully agree.
Yeah.
So the example that I use a lot is if you ask somebody how they're doing and they're not doing well, then they'll commonly say, I'm battling some demons. But if they're a non-believer, I don't understand how you're going to you're going to believe in the negative side of all this, but not believe that there's a purpose and that you're actually going to a better place. If you're going to be selective, why wouldn't you select to choose the good?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand why it's like, I'm battling my demons. It's like, you don't believe in God, so why would you believe in a demon? Now you're just torturing yourself.
Yep.
So either believe in neither or believe in both.
But don't believe.
But don't pick the worst one.
Right?
Exactly.
Like, oh,
Exactly.
what a bummer.
You call a bad time where you've actually been like, why is this happening to me? Like, as far as why is God doing this to me? Like, well, you're going to pick the real bad time and really start talking about him now. You know, I agree. That's great.
It's an interesting thing to think about because I've never, ever in hard times, and there's been some, thought, why is God doing this to me? Like, that's just never been a thought. I guess I go, why me? Maybe that's just not my personality so much. It's more like, wow, this is really hard. How am I going to get through this?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever been like, why is God doing this? Why is this happening?
I've definitely
For me, I mean, I guess there's nuance to that.
I've definitely been in that position, at least sort of like, why is this happening?
Yes.
How could you possibly be doing this to me? Like, and I think it just flows with the whole message where it's bigger than you. It's bigger than you, phone. This is a bigger message.
Thank goodness, because if it was only as big as me, we're all in trouble.
This is bigger than you. But yeah, it's you think about it in those spiral moments of like where you hit rock bottom. I think you're cursing it, but this is bigger than you. And yeah, I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't go through those hardships. So clearly God had a plan for me. It's beautiful fucking plan so far.
It's to build you.
Yeah. So
To build your character.
yep, build your character. Force it if you're not listening.
Yeah, the more I think about it and the more I start to live it a little bit, and I just think he has a calling on everybody. It's different for everybody, and not everybody's going to be held at the same expectation. I don't think in that sense everybody's created equal. And there's might be Tony Robbins actually who said it, that we're all equal on a soul level, but we're not equal on a potential level. Some people are going to be able to achieve a lot more on this planet than others are, but that doesn't make them less important because the souls are all equal.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has a calling. What that calling is, I'm not like, how would I know? But I don't know that our character is anywhere near what it needs to be to actually step into that calling. And so all these things that we go through and all these bumps in the road and these spirals and these rock bottoms, and there to build the character so that when we can finally become the person he needs us to be to do the work he wants us to do.
And that's where I feel like, and we talk about this in part of the podcast, is that that's where it is on us. Make sure we're doing those things so that we can do that work.
Yeah.
Which makes it so much more exciting when life is going well. You know what I mean? Like when things are going well, it gets so exciting. You're like, all right, I'm on the right path right now. Like I'm clearly doing something good. And the days go by and everything it just seems like it's just working so well together. It's exciting. So if you can just imagine how the things he's willing to send you through for you to become, like just imagine that person that you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
right.
It's awesome.
So that's where you have to have the personal responsibility. Like, how can I show up in the world to make sure that when these callings come, I can be there for them?
Totally. Here's another hardship. All right, let's do this.
And we've talked about calling a few times, and we touched on it with Guy, but it's hard. And we see this in the men's group. People like start to question, like, how do you even know if it's a calling? And this is something we talk about a little bit. But I think to me, it's a calling because there's an element of fear in it, but it like a healthy fear. If it's something that I would just put my hand up to do and want to do, then it's probably not God's work. That's probably my own selfish endeavors. But if it's something that I can feel genuinely like that's the right thing to do, but man, I do not want to do it, like starting a podcast and talking about Christ, there's probably something there.
Well, that goes back to the sermon from a couple of weeks ago about like God didn't call us to stay comfortable on our mats.
Right.
Right? Like that's not where growth is.
No.
When we stay in our comfort zone on our little mat, like he wants more for us. And I don't know, maybe that's not true. Maybe some people are called to just be comfortable on their mat and smile and wave at people when they walk by and be friendly. And
yeah, I don't believe that. I believe some people's mission on paper might not look as great. Like, so there's people in parts of Africa now that are being persecuted and literally murdered for their belief. Now that's a different calling to somebody who's called to work the parking lot at the church.
Yeah.
But I don't believe God doesn't call us to comfort. There's just no way. Like there's just no way. Like you look at everybody who's truly walking with the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, they're not living comfortably.
Well, and it goes to the analogy of a good father, right? Like a good and loving father is not a father who says, let me clear every obstacle for you so you never have hardship, so you never have discomfort. I'm going to make your life as easy as possible so you never, ever feel any pain. Like, no, that's not being a good father.
Yeah, sounds like the perfect formula for crazy.
Yeah.
For lean, stuff like soft
When he
people.
protects you from everything.
Yeah.
Right?
It
The only one that does that is Big Man.
Yep. But
Yeah.
he protects you. I think like a good father, he will step in when you're about to really do something wrong and mess the entire thing up, and he'll stop that happening. But he will let you make mistakes. He'll let you fall. He'll let you scrape your knee. He'll let you and some of those mistakes are pretty brutal, and they get pretty close to dying, some of them. But he will allow you to make errors, but he won't allow you to make absolutely critical, massive mistakes.
Well, if that's not his plan for you, right?
Yeah, and then that's what a father does. Like you're gonna let your child ride their bike and fall.
Yep.
But if they're riding it in front of a truck, you are going to grab that bike and pull them back. It's like, now I step in because what you're about to do is going to kill somebody.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where he protects us, but he also, like a good father, he's going to allow us to go our own way and screw this up.
Ride that
pretty bad.
line. Oh, that's funny. Well, I wrote this down, which I liked. He's speaking through your brokenness, pain, and suffering to bring glory and goodness to your life. So those broken bits and pain, he's using those in all of us for a purpose.
Yes.
Yeah. And
that
most of the people that are on the path of like the self-improvement, high performance, even outside of a faith-based, they generally lead to a similar message that once you've been through something, you are now the most equipped to help the next person through that. And that's why I kind of go to when he said that pain is your pulpit. So that pain that you're experiencing in a moment then becomes your power to be able to stand up, preach that, and help everybody else who's about to go through the same thing. So even outside of faith, that's a very common topic that people kind of go back to. Get through the hardship. You then bring the next person up through it, through your experience.
Help them cross that bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, your job is to like cross the bridge and then full steam ahead all the time. Like it's nice to look back and say, hey, let me share with you how I crossed this bridge.
Yep.
Now you might be like, no, I'm doing it my own way. Yeah, that's interesting. And I wrote this down too. Paul could have focused on his chains instead of God.
Oh, I love
right? I love that image of like, instead of just how Daniel did it, like if he was just like, why me? Why? And like just focused so much on the chains, we wouldn't have a lot of what we have from him, right? So instead of exactly.
Yeah. Well, this whole thing was spreading his faith and being like, this is allowing me to spread my faith. These chains are actually showing everyone else how much I believe in God. Like, this is it. Like, they've got me in here because of this. So now everyone can see me for this. So it helps him spread the word, which I thought was incredible. I love that.
I just think even the symbolism of being here to here. It's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed that part too. No, that was great. He fully embraced it and took it and ran with it.
I liked that too. What you said, I forgot about that part where he's like, everyone knew about Jesus because of those chains.
Because he was locked up, because that is why he's locked up. So everyone knew that is why.
And he could have focused on the pain.
Yep.
But instead he used that pain as his platform, as his pulpit to actually spread the message of the gospel. And I think that's the
exactly.
We go through pain, we overcome, we then use that to then spread the gospel.
But I feel like we can even do that when we haven't overcome the whole thing, like just in the pain.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Pain is your pulpit. It doesn't say like pain that you're on the other side of as your pulpit. Just get right up and start talking and bringing people to Christ. As soon as you're in the pain, you probably get through it quicker.
Yeah, if you can actually talk to others, you might realize that you guys have a lot of things in common. They might be going through something similar.
Right.
You know? I mean...
And I've made some connections through that over the past year.
Exactly.
And I think the message...
Moms, other wives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The message speaks so clearly to what we're about on this podcast is exactly that like the hard way is the way.
Yes.
And what the character you build, the experiences, the opportunities that come as a result of going through these uncomfortable times is then what platforms us to be able to help others, spread the word, do good. I just think, it comes back to that. He doesn't call us to comfort.
Yeah.
The hard way is the way, because if you shortcut the hard, right? Because we all know there are ways in our society you can get from point A to point B where you want to go without doing all of the work in the middle.
Yeah.
What's the point of that, right? Like you
don't become the person you're supposed to become on the way.
Exactly. And that's the whole point, is who you're built into through those hardships, through the struggle, through the failure, through the success. Like you can't shortcut that.
You can't. Nope. And if it's like if someone came up to me tomorrow and was like, "Hey, I'm having a tough time drinking or whatnot. Like, how can I stop this?" I mean, you can easily share your story as well and just be like, "Yeah, I've been there." So to allow people to communicate, it just helps. Like, I've been there, I can help you. Like, this is my way. But you have to find your way as well.
Yeah.
I can just kind of guide you in a direction this may work.
And you have to be willing to be uncomfortable.
Exactly.
You just have to know you're going to be uncomfortable.
Yep. So my answer would just be deceptive hard. Just go cold.
Yeah. Right.
Just do it. Now, that might be a little too intense for most, but
it's not though. It's not too intense for most people. Everyone could do it if they were willing to do it.
Completely.
I don't think it's too intense for most people. I feel like that's I've heard so many people say, "Oh, I couldn't do that. That's just too hard for me." Like, it's not.
Yeah.
You just have to be uncomfortable. You just have to say, instead of looking at Instagram for 45 minutes, I'm going to go for a walk. Or even if you are with your kids and you can't go for a walk, I'm going to do a workout in my living room.
Some of those people are the ones with the least self-esteem as well. They just really don't have belief in themselves whatsoever.
Yeah, but they think, I mean, this goes to a different topic, but it's kind of what I like it because this is what we're about. Confidence and self-esteem you don't have it first and then act. That's just not how it works. But people think that. So they're waiting for their confidence to grow. But why would you have confidence? You haven't done anything.
Exactly.
You produced nothing. Like, why would you have confidence in your own ability to execute when you've never executed? It doesn't work that way. You need to execute one after another, after another, after another, until you start to believe in your own ability to execute, in your own ability to do what you promised you were going to do. And the example that Frisella uses all the time, he's like, if you have a best friend and that best friend is like, "Hey, I'm going to meet you for lunch tomorrow," and then they cancel, and then the next day they cancel, and then the next day they cancel, and then they cancel a different plan. They cancel to meet you at the gym, and then if they continually let you down and break your plans and the promises, then eventually you're going to be looking at them like you're a horrible friend and you don't trust the friend. But then we do that to ourselves. People are like, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. tomorrow. They set their alarm for 6, and then they break their very first promise when they press snooze. Yeah. They made a promise to themselves the night before. The very first thing they did that day was break their own promise, and then they spend the rest of their day, year or decade, breaking the same promises. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to start on Monday. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to stop eating the bullshit. I'm going to get off the alcohol. And they make these promises and then continue to break their own promises and then wonder why they don't trust themselves. But if a friend did that to you, it's so plain to see why they don't trust a friend. But the same thing happens with yourself. And so it becomes a matter of, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. First one. The next, do it. The next, do it. And you start to stack enough promises that you keep that you start to actually believe you will hold your own promises. And then it grows and expands. And that's what confidence is. Yep. That people think people are born with confidence, but no, they've just executed so many times that they know they're going to win. You look at the best quarterbacks in the league. They're not confident because they were born confident. They're confident because they've made that pass so many thousands of times that we didn't see in the background that they know they can just get up and do it.
And also, they're confident that they can win, but they're also confident in that they know if they fail, they'll be okay.
Exactly.
And that they can try again and get the next one.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to be said for that too.
And it's all a matter of doing the work when nobody's looking as well. Like putting in the amount of time it takes for you to actually be worthy of saying you have confidence. If I said to you, "Man, I'm impressed how much confidence you have when you brush your teeth," you'd think I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've done it every day for 30-something years, maybe twice a day. So you're confident in your ability to brush your teeth because you've done it so often. But then somebody will say, "Well, man, like you're confident that when you go into a workout, you're going to get a good time." Yeah, I've done thousands of them.
Yep.
Like it's not, you don't just have confidence.
Yep.
You earn it.
Right.
And by keeping your promises to yourself.
And it's just a victim mentality. And I think if we can embrace these dark times, like kind of what we've been discussing today and in the sermons, like if when embracing God and embracing those dark times, you can actually approach it a little bit differently. Instead of having the victim mentality of woe is me, why is this happening to me? Embracing, just being like, okay, we have this challenge in front of us. How are we going to attack this challenge? How are we going to break this down? How are we going to get through this? Is it just myself? Is it me and my family? Is it me and my friends? Like the best way to get through this and ultimately lead you to the other side, and that includes having Jesus on your side and working in and putting in work in that aspect and in your faith, so you can have that confidence to get to the other side with whatever is presented in front of you. So,
just lastly on this topic, and then we can move on to another topic that he discussed. Something that hit me when he was talking about this stuff, like this pain being your platform. It occurred to me, and I wrote it down, that man was evicted from Eden and resurrected from the grave. If you think about, one is perfection and we're kicked out of there. So one is everything we could ever want, and it is the definition of comfort, and we get kicked out into the wilderness. Then when the resurrection comes, when it's our opportunity to actually change the world, that comes from the place of the most hardship there is. It comes from the grave. You're dead, or from a cross, just as bad. And so I think there's something in that, in terms of like, this call to comfort idea. I think there's something in the fact that we had comfort. We chose to not be there. And so now it is our role to live through, and then through the worst imaginable form of
discomfort.
Yeah, discomfort
Yeah.
is where we're actually resurrected from and given opportunity. So I just think that the Bible just ties itself together so beautifully in ways that it's hard to even grasp until someone kind of breaks them down.
Yep.
But I just don't think that's an accident.
No accidents.
The other thing that he spoke about was this knowledge and love. I thought that was interesting as well. It didn't feel like it was exactly the same conversation, but it's definitely worth discussing. I don't know if you took notes on that part.
I didn't, but I remember how he talked about, like, you need both, right? So some people are more rooted in knowledge and wanting to understand and have knowledge, and some people are more rooted in love, and it's more of a feeling, right? Like, I definitely feel like I'm more rooted in love, and I'd say you're more rooted in knowledge.
I'm not quite sure where I am.
Yeah, I don't know where you are.
Balance, but I did like what he was saying there as well. And it all just led to being able to the Bible. Yeah, and treating everyone with love and yourself with love, and knowing that God is there with you. And then as long as you can keep doing those things, everything trickles and everything becomes better.
Yeah, I love how he said we don't read the Bible for the facts. We read it for a relationship.
Yeah.
And so that goes to the point of, if you're reading it for knowledge, you're not going to extract the message the way that it's supposed to be extracted.
Yes.
But don't you think if you're also only reading it for love, you're not either? Like, you need both.
Yeah.
Right? Because my tendency would be like, it's fine and just love. And it's like, well, actually, God's really clear about some things.
Yeah.
I liked that we need the balance of both of those.
Yeah, and to improve your relationship with God and everyone else amongst it, just to help out.
Yeah, he said we learn about God in order to become more like him. And I kind of thought that was cool. And then, like, the process of doing that, the fruits of the Spirit will then start to be a natural part of your being. I just thought it was cool. That we learn about God in order to become more godlike.
So not just looking at the Bible as factual, but taking that off of the page and putting it into our actual life and into practice. Is that, you think?
Mm-hmm.
Fortunate.
Every day.
Grace. Been like really focused on grace the past week or two. Like, God gives us grace. Can do our best to give other people grace.
We definitely can.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that part of it. Oh, this is something else I wrote down that I loved. The breaking down of something in your life is not God abandoning you, it's his invitation.
Like it's getting hard. He's inviting you.
Yeah, like it's very easy to say, like, why is this happening? Okay, like not understanding that is him saying, or that through that he can be like, I'm here for you. You don't have to do this alone. It's an invitation. It's not an abandonment or something breaking down. That's another really big lesson I've learned over the past year. Yeah, the breaking down of whatever it is in your life is him inviting you to be in his presence.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also wonder if he continues to break down more and more in our life. If we could have maybe avoided some of it if we just surrendered earlier.
Yeah.
Yes, very true.
Or maybe it's a necessary breaking down, right? Like
It depends on your role, the role that you have to play for him.
or what's breaking down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I just wonder if I had to get to the absolute bottom of the spiral, if I had to just listened earlier and handed my life over earlier, then maybe I wouldn't have had to get all the way down there, but I don't know. Maybe you do have to get all the way down there.
Maybe for you did have to. I mean, that's what Guy talked about
And if I
last
think
week.
he just kind of like hits you a couple of times,
Yeah.
and if you get up and fight again, you just kind of roll his eyes and hit you back
Yeah.
down. And then you get up and fight again, he's going, all right, this guy's going to keep fighting. And he starts hitting you harder and harder. It's like a father when you wrestle with your
Exactly.
child. You let them get up, they just keep getting up.
He's also not going to send you through something that you're not going to get through, right?
No.
So if he believes that you're going to get through it, then I'm sure he's going to give you the hardest hardship he can possibly give you just to make you have a better influence on this world.
And
Mhm.
it's something that I wholeheartedly believe in, that he will only challenge you with what he knows you're capable of doing.
I fully
He will
agree.
never set that further than what you're actually capable of. You won't believe you're capable
Yep.
of. That's the point.
Yep.
Like he doesn't call us to things we think we're capable of. The entire Bible is a story of people being called to something they thought they were significantly underqualified for
Completely.
and absolutely out of place. So David took down a giant when he was like 13.
Yep. This is why people with their faith that is just so strong end up being and when I say successful, I don't mean financially or anything like that. This is why people with humongous faith end up being successful in life, or happier, if you want to put it in terms.
Yeah, more joyful.
Yeah, exactly. Because they know that no matter what they're going to go through, it's everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's huge.
And saying everything's going to be okay.
Doesn't mean it'll be easy.
And it doesn't mean it's going
Exactly.
to be okay in the way we think it should be okay. Right? Like oftentimes what our little vision of okay is, he has a much bigger plan for that.
Yep.
So saying everything's going to be okay, what I think a lot of people hear is everything will go back to the way it was.
Right.
But that's not what the plan is. Maybe sometimes it is, I don't know. But in my experience, it feels like, oh, everything's going to be okay doesn't mean this will all be over, forget about it, and you'll go back to the way it was.
Not at all.
No.
Nope.
No, if there's anything I know for truth, is to expect more hardship.
Yeah.
That's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
And just when you start to get comfortable, they'll throw something at you that you just don't want to do.
Get off that mat. God's going to kick you off your comfort mat.
Something I've noticed he's done. Not at all.
Yeah, what book is that? Do you know?
No,
No.
I can find it.
What's his name's brother gets off the mat?
Yep.
Or when Jesus comes,
He's
says,
just been
like,
sitting
stop
there.
looking at the
Well,
pool.
that was chosen that I put up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he asked him, "Do you want to be healed?"
I didn't answer. He said, like,
That was
no.
put
And
down.
he said, he didn't answer. He said, I can't get to the pool.
Yep.
I've tried and I can't get there. Jesus is like,
Yeah,
that's
yes.
not what I asked. I asked, do you want to be healed?
Much profound question here.
Mhm.
Like, do you really want to be able to get up?
So that ties back into, I feel like when people say, oh, I can't do that, that's too hard. And it's like, well, do you want to be healed or whatever that looks like for you or not?
Yep.
Because it's going to be uncomfortable.
Yep.
Yeah, and we all know this from firsthand experience because we see it so regularly at the gym and at any gym. And this is the epicenter of any gym, is a bunch of people saying they want to be in better shape, but they don't. I mean, they would want it if it were free and if it cost them nothing and it was comfortable.
Right.
But in essence, what they're actually saying, and this is a really hard conversation to have with a client, but this is the truth. In essence, what they're saying is, I want to look like you, but I don't want to do the work to get there.
Yep.
So I want all the benefits, but I don't want to do the work.
The like
How can
20
we do
years of
this?
work that you've put into.
And that's effectively what they're saying, because they want to be fit, but they don't want it more than they want to eat bad food. They don't want it more than they want to drink alcohol. They don't want it more than they want to go to bed early. They don't want it more than to make bad decisions when they go out on weekends. Like, they want it, but not at the expense of anything that they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that falls just with faith as well. I think CrossFit and faith in general just have they just work well together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to put work in your faith.
You don't get results if you don't show up.
It's one of the things he spoke about, like that 5 minutes we've got every day will change your life. Like reading the Bible. So I saw a stat that was on the Live Hard podcast. He spoke about that they did this huge study and there was thousands of participants. And if you read the Bible like one time a week, there was like no significant change. 2 times a week, no significant change. 3 to 4 times a week, some change, noticeable change in your behaviors, and they were more spiritual change. But he said 5+ times a week, spending 5 to 10 minutes in the Bible, 5+ times a week, hey, massive change. Like, the people were absolutely worlds apart from the subjects that didn't read the Bible. And it wasn't just spiritual change. They were like markers of health and all this stuff completely changed. But that 5 was like the point.
So it's exponential there.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that less than 5 seems to be not as effective, but 5 times a week and more that's that tipping point where people are going insane and then they just absolutely break in the other direction.
I mean, I remember John saying that to me when I joined the gym, and I started 1 day a week and then 2 days a week. And at some point he's like, listen, if you want to get better and learn this, 2 days a week's not going to get you there.
Yep.
So,
I mean, think about this concept just now because it just came up in my head. It's like, just based off the whole discussion today from church, when things get hard, you embrace it, go through it. How many times have you been halfway through a workout being like, oh my gosh, I'm only halfway. And the only way to get through this is to keep moving.
Just to keep going.
Because there is a time cap. The only thing that's going to save you is the time. There's nothing else that's going to save you. You have to continue to keep moving and continue to do your reps until you are done. Or else you're not going to get a good score, or you're just not going to be happy with yourself because you didn't try.
Or you're going to quit.
Or you're going to quit.
And then sit with that feeling.
Yep. And all of this just comes back to the same topic. It's faith. Like, if you work on that, by the end of your life, you're going to have a much more fulfilled life. Because believe me, you will die one day. You will die. And if you reach that end point and you have zero faith or zero fulfillment, that's a sad thing as well. That is a life almost wasted. And who knows how many times God tried to reach out to you and tried to help you. And in that aspect, you didn't do anything about it. And when things got hard, you just stop. Like, you just can't. So.
Yeah, I remember judging you in the, I'm always judging you, but I was judging you.
That's my guy. Holding me to a standard.
I was judging you at a CrossFit Open workout. Right. And then and you were
this was last
dying. And you just were looking at the barbell. And I'm like, Christian, there is only one way through this. Like, the only way out of this is to pick that barbell back up. Regardless of the amount of pain, you're still going to be standing here in the pain. So the only way for the pain to end, ironically, is to pick the barbell up and cause more pain. it's like that saying, like, if you find yourself in hell, maybe just keep going and you might be able to get out the other side before the devil lets you down.
Exactly. that was a great open, by all means. It was very dark, but yes, it's exactly what we're talking about. I did not want to pick up that barbell, and I actually thought about it. I was like, I could quit CrossFit right now. I would be okay.
Just walk out.
Who
We never
knows?
saw Christian again.
Who knows what my life would be like if I would have walked out that day? Thank God we didn't. But yes, yeah, it proves the point. You just got to keep moving and keep just adversity and just go through it and just know that God's got your six. Everything's gonna be fine.
It kind of, now I'm kind of linking two different things that we've discussed. The confidence thing just being the result of executing on so many different occasions.
Yep.
But then the pain thing, and it makes me, I'm just thinking about this now, but I think I have a confidence going through hardship.
Yep.
And I think because I've just been through so much shit, and I brought it on myself almost deliberately because my upbringing wasn't hard, but then I just brought a ton of shit on myself, deliberately exposing myself to hardship, whether it was good or bad. But I spent a lifetime bringing my own hardship in, and I'm so confident now that I can get through anything as a result of having got through all of it in the past. And I think we're all the same. We've been through enough that we have a confidence going into hardship to the point where we don't even see what others see as hardship. We don't identify it that way. Like some of the stuff we do, like 75 hard, the hard part feels weird to say to me because it's just 75 days of executing on 5 promises.
Yep.
It's not hard.
It's not that hard.
But to some people, it'll be the hardest thing they ever do for the same reason they lack confidence, because they haven't been through the shitstorm so many times that their ability to get through one more shitstorm, it could break them in their mind.
And how cool that they then get through 75 hard and have that.
Yeah.
And then take that to get through the next hard thing.
Well, to get into the actual foundation, 75 hard, if you listen to the original MFCEO podcast episodes, he had the elements and he knew that there was something there. Frisella knew there was something there. He's like, the workouts, he had them. He had all of the principles, but he was missing a big piece of the puzzle and he couldn't figure out what that piece of the puzzle was. But he knew he had something in the background that was going to be pivotal. And then he had this guest on, the Iron Cowboy, the guy that ran 50 marathons in 50 states in 50 days.
Yeah.
Mad dog.
Mad dog.
And he's mid-conversation with this Iron Cowboy. And I only know this because I heard him talk about the story before I heard the episode. And then when I heard the episode, I listened for it. And he said the Iron Cowboy at one point dropped, he said, the point is to deliberately choose hard. And so Andy's trying to piece this thing together where you're doing hard things, but he hadn't considered that you're choosing hard. He's thinking going through hard is fine, but you kind of got to wait for those moments to pop up. And that was the final piece of the puzzle, is like, no, we choose hard. That's how we get better. Choose hard to get better. And that's where 75 hard was born.
Also, didn't the Iron Cowboy also like have like torn ligaments and all sorts of stuff too? Like I think because it was everyday occurrence, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
I think he was like physically breaking down completely, and he purposely chose to continue moving every day because it was physically harder. It doesn't mean that mentality at that point's a whole nother level, but yes.
Well, Aaron told me yesterday about a guy who did an entire marathon of burpee Brad Jones, 26.2 miles.
42,000 burpees.
On a track. Around the track.
It took him 8 days, but we were like, 8 days? That's a long time. But then we realized that we counted it out when we did the math. That's 5,000 burpees a day.
A day. And I don't want to do 100
I don't want to do 500, full stop.
Yeah.
You gotta say burpee class, and I'm like,
Burpee Brad Jones, a marathon around track.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a legend.
Yeah, I'm not sure what is changing the world doing that, but good on him.
He
Good on
changed his
him.
world.
He changed somebody's world, that's for sure.
He's here to prove
His hands will never be the same.
No.
He's here to prove to other ruthless people that there's still one more guy that's way crazier than you'll ever be.
Yeah.
I couldn't think that. Oh, because I was saying,
Batman like that.
I got a suggested challenge of 100 burpees a morning or a day for 5 days. I was like, yeah, that sounds excessive.
No, I'm okay. Burpees are one of my least favorite movements.
No, I feel like we should all do 100 burpees a day. Just
I'm actually starting that tomorrow.
Yeah. I restarted my 4:30 a.m. one again. So here we go. Another 21 days.
Ooh,
Another 21
42
days.
back-to-back days at 4 a.m. or 4:30.
4:30.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that for a whole year. I got up at 4 and went to the gym at 5:30.
I commend you because it's not easy.
No, I was so tired by the end of the day, but it's what I have to do to make it work.
But you're going to bed at 8:15, right?
Yeah.
But
You have to.
my
You have
days,
to.
my days are so much more productive. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, that's I've been trying to tell you this for 12 months.
It's telling
You do all your stuff first thing in the morning. It's a game changer. You
Yeah.
actually have energy and you're not like killed with decision fatigue and you're not worn down and beat up by the planet.
Yep. If you put in the aspect of the list that we have to do every day because of the SOP, like, yeah, you get everything done relatively quickly. But then if you also think about it in general, just with your life, like I have a bunch of things that I have to do during the day.
Yeah.
And for work, like it's helped drastically. Like not only does it save me time because I have to do all my stuff beforehand, but like by the time I get to work, I'm already running on
Yeah, you're hitting work with momentum.
Yeah, I'm hitting work with so much momentum. You can't even stop me. I'm already at the office. Guys are showing up and they're
still yawning.
They're still yawning.
They're Cheerios and you're yelling at them.
Yeah, I'm over here ready to fucking go. And it's like, oh man, he's in a good mood. I'm just awake. But yeah, it's been working out really well for me. And then plus the workouts in the afternoon. And once I get home, just sleep. Call it good. Call it a day.
That's
Which
good.
one? Was it at the sermon or it was probably a Frisella video where he says, if you are not tired by the time you go to bed, you have not accomplished jack shit.
Yes, I agree with that.
Like if you are not physically tired, but mentally tired by the end of the day, you have not fulfilled your life. And you know how he has,
I think that's
the
good.
speaker guy next to him in the videos?
Did you?
Vaughn.
No,
Vaughn Cola?
Vaughn,
Yeah.
yeah. He also I like Vaughn, but he also threw it in the aspect of his faith as well. It's like if you're not tired, then you're not putting in the work. If you're not throwing in all this effort in your faith, if you're not reading the Bible, if you're not praying, if you're not doing your own thing, if you're not leading your family in a direction that should be led, then you are not doing your job.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for all of us, you know?
Well, I think it's, like you said, on a day-to-day basis, we should be going to bed exhausted. But I think our life should be that.
Yep.
I think we should be dying totally exhausted everything we have, every piece of potential, every last bit of energy. Like we should be, when we hit death's door and we like roll up to the pearly gates, I want to be carried up there.
Yeah.
Because I spent every ticket while I was here.
Broken.
I think that's mental.
Any last thoughts?
Many.
Save them?
Save them.
Well, I think as you mentioned, Von Kohler, this is probably worth sharing, but he's the guy that's the through the MFCEO podcast before I turned to Real AF. He was anti-sidekick through all that, and there were so many times where we were discussing like, or people at the church have asked me like, how did you end up at church? And so the connection with God has always been there for me. I try to deny it or whatever like, but it's always been there. But then the story that I told, because I couldn't quite remember why until they released these new episodes, but I kept hearing podcasts where there was like little snippets from the Bible, just a couple every episode, and they would get me and I'm like, that's a really interesting verse. So I'd go and look it up. I'm like, man, this book knows a little bit. And then another one would come. And so in my mind, because I'm trying to think back 2 years, I'm thinking it was in different podcasts. It was Von Kohler. And I now know that because I'm listening to him again, just put in these little snippets.
That's awesome.
And the new one, I'm like,
That's
was
awesome.
him that got me. He's just there like, and like and so now here we are with a podcast
Here we
about
are.
Christ based on these little nuggets that this one guy just was dropping in one at a time, planting seeds after he'd given up his life and ministry. And then his story about how he met Andy, I think is worth sharing before we wrap up as the final thought. But he's quit ministry. He's a pastor. He's quit ministry. He's got some job as a sales guy. He moves out to like Missouri, and he's on his very first job to go and meet these potential clients to do a sale. And he gets there and they go through the whole spiel. And at the moment where it's time to buy, they say, man, this kind of seems expensive. And he's like, it is. It's like, wait, what? And he's like, I think it's out of your price range. And they're like, aren't you supposed to be a salesman? He's like, I don't like this. And he's like, so he's like, essentially, he's going to quit this gig. And so he's driving in his car and he's like questioning everything. He's like, God, how have I ended up here? And he's weeping. And he's like, this is not what you had for me. What have I done wrong? Where did I go on the wrong path? Like,
this.
what has happened? And then his phone rings. He's like, answers it. And he's like, oh, you want a job at the local Men's Health magazine? And he's like, yes,
Yes, I do.
absolutely. And he's like, well, are you invested in the job you're in right now? He's like, absolutely not. And so he says, oh, I need you to, he said, when can you start? He's like, tomorrow. And he's like, I need you to go and interview this guy. He's a local entrepreneur and he's made quite a lot of success. And he was raised here in Missouri. So I want you to go and interview him. Goes there to do this interview. It's Andy Frisella. They get to talking about their dogs. He gives a picture of his dog on the door. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, I don't think we can do an article in a magazine. We need to do a book. All right. So then they start meeting to do a book on this weekly basis. And they're like, this conversation is too good. We need to start recording. And then the podcast starts and it becomes a #1 podcast within weeks of them starting.
I love it. So, Bob, thank you. Because you've changed most of, if not all of our lives. Just with that one move.
Mm-hmm.
That is great.
Planting those seeds.
You never know.
Yeah.
It's not our job to know the outcomes.
Love it. I loved it. So, let's
Right.
pray hard.
Let's have you pray hard. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thanks for tuning back into the CruciFit Podcast. We're recording a little intro here because we realized last week that we forgot to introduce ourselves. So I'm Crystal.
I'm Aaron.
And this week we had our really good friend Christian come join us to talk about the sermon that day and how that relates to our lives.
So we're going to dive into the sermon that we discussed and how it emphasizes the importance of controlling our attitude and maintaining faith during difficult times, and understanding that pain and hardship can lead to personal growth. We're going to highlight the idea that hardships are not just obstacles, but invitations to deepen our relationship with God and how to grow in our character. And then we're going to kind of weave in our stories and experiences with 75 Hard to outline the embracing of discomfort and stepping outside of that comfort zone as an essential tool for personal growth and human development. And we're just reminded that God does not promise a life free of challenges, but equips us to face them. And ultimately that shapes us into the individuals that we are meant to be. So without further ado, we'll get into it.